door of the family. This family in specific. How can it be? A house that was always considered, a house that was always open for Jesus and his disciples, and not only that he considered them friends. And the sisters said, this is a job for Jesus. Tell your sister, your brother, it's time to call on Jesus.
It's time to call on Jesus.
Yeah, it's time to call on Jesus. Not to post on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Kick. It's time to call on him. It's time to call on Jesus. It's time to call on Jesus. Call him, call him. I don't know if there's some people of the old school. Maybe you're not, maybe you're new. But I remember that when I was growing up, over there in a church in the Bronx, New York, it was a Assemblies of God church. I remember that I learned this song and it said, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Tell him what you want right now. Hey, then you're supposed to go, call him up, call him up. Tell him what you want. Call him up, call him up. Tell him what you want. Call him up, call him up. Tell him what you want. And tell him what you want right now. Hey, Jesus is on the main line. He's the one that we need to call. Mary and Martha knew already who to call. Thank God at that time they didn't have either Twitter or any of that, because everybody would have known that they were in trouble. But they knew who to call right away. They had him on speed dial. They had him on favorites. They had him on WhatsApp. They called on Jesus. They said, Jesus, the one you love is sick. What a declaration. Your friend, the one that you love. What security these ladies were able to say, Jesus, your friend, and the one that you love is sick. John chapter 15, verses 13 through 15 says, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Scripture says, you are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know what his master's business is. Instead, I have called you friends. For everything that I have learned from my Father, I have made known to you. How awesome it is that he calls me friend. How awesome it is that I am on his BFF list. And that we can call on him. And that we know that he will answer, because his love for us will make him come. Jesus was notified, and he said that when Jesus was notified, they sent him a message. You know what? I don't know. But in those times, like I said, there was no Instagram, no Kick, or no tweet, or no nothing. Jesus come right away. I don't know, but they had to send a messenger. I don't know how long it took the messenger to get the message to get to Jesus. But Scripture says that when the message got to Jesus, it was already 2 days when the message got to him that his friend was sick. Scripture says that Jesus was notified that he was sick, and Jesus declared right there and then when he got the message, he said, this sickness is not for death, but for his name to be glorified in it. Verse 5 says that Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus, but when he heard that he was sick, he decided to stay for 2 more days. What? Jesus, my friend? I can only imagine how Martha and Mary felt. Where is Jesus when you need him? I called him. Why hasn't he answered? Why isn't he here? He should have been here already. Why isn't he here? Isn't that what our humanity does? What our humanity pushes us to do? We call a friend. Well, they have to be here right away. Why are they here yet? I called them. Why haven't they answered? I texted them. They haven't answered back. I called. I left a message and they haven't called back. Oh, I tweeted and they haven't answered. Oh, well, they can't answer on tweet. They can just read. But, right. I'm not into tweet yet, but I'll get there. But I can only imagine what they were facing during that time. And I imagine the questions that they started to ask themselves. Didn't he love us? Weren't we important to him? Why isn't he here? And the human nature will say, forget it. Who needs a friend when you need one? He's not here. And then I imagine the other scenario, Mary and Martha telling Lazarus, hang on, I called on your friend Jesus. He will come, just